In this lesson, students will learn all about bees and how bees help people. The other day I was taking a walk and I was admiring all the beautiful spring flowers. I came across some of my favorite flowers, yellow roses, just like the yellow roses on my windowsill. While I was looking at the beautiful flowers, I heard a buzzing sound, kind of like this. Bzzz. I looked around. What do you think I saw? That's right, I saw a bee. At first, I was a little bit scared because bees can sting you. But then I remembered that bees can be really helpful to people. I decided I wanted to learn more about how bees can help us. I decided to get an informational book about bees. I found this nonfiction book. This book is a nonfiction book because it has facts about real bees. Let's take a look. On the cover, we see the title, Bees. We see a photograph of a real bee in its real habitat, a garden. And we see the author's name, the person who wrote the book, Laura Marsh. Let's see what else is inside the book. In the front of the book, I see the table of contents. The table of contents is a list of different topics in the book, and it has page numbers so you can find where each topic begins. A table of contents is really helpful because you can come up with a plan for reading the book. Informational books have lots and lots of facts. Sometimes it's helpful to read just some of the book based on what your purpose for reading the book is. Today, my purpose is I want to learn how bees help people. So in a minute, I will use the table of contents to find out where I can discover that information in this book. In the back of the book, there is a glossary. A glossary is a list of words and their meanings. While we're reading the book, we may come across a word that we do not know, so we can turn to the glossary to learn what that word means. So my purpose for reading the book today is to learn how do bees help people. I'm going to first turn to the table of contents. I'm going to take a look. And right here, I see the topic, helpful bees. That sounds like a great place to start. Let's see what page we need to go to. Page 6. Here is page 6. Helpful bees, the name of this chapter. A chapter is a part of a book, a section. Bees help both people and plants. Honeybees make honey and beeswax. People use these things in lots of ways. Beeswax is used for making candles and soap. Honey is sweet and delicious. All kinds of bees help plants make seeds. Seeds can grow into new plants. Some of these plants give us fruits and vegetables. We can thank bees for strawberries, apples, almonds, tomatoes, and many other foods. And I see a photograph here with a caption. A caption is a label that tells you more about the picture. Let's take a look. What do you see in the picture, in the photograph? The caption says, "A bee sits on the flower of a strawberry plant." Let's read this chapter too to learn more about pollen. Pollen power. When a bee lands on a flower, the flower's pollen rubs off the bee. I want to double check what pollen means. Let's go to the glossary. Pollen starts with the letter P. So P. Let me look for a word that has letter P in it. Hive, honeycomb, nectar. Oh, here we go. Pollen. There's the letter P. Pollen. Let's read what pollen means. Pollen, a sticky yellow powder made by flowers. So the next time I look at a flower, I'm going to take a closer look and I'm going to look for something that's yellow and powdery. And I'm going to learn more about the pollen. So it sounds like the bees go to one flower and they get pollen on their bodies because it's very sticky, kind of like sticky honey. When the bee travels to another flower, pollen from the bee brushes off onto the new flower. This is called pollination. Let's say that word 3 times together. Pollination, pollination, pollination. Pollination is when the bee gets sticky pollen on their legs from one flower and brings it to a new flower so that new flower can make seeds, and then seeds can grow into new plants. A bee's leg has special hairs that form a basket. And if you look at this picture, the caption says an empty pollen basket. And this picture says these pollen baskets are filled with pollen. The bee brushes pollen into the basket. Then it flies back to the nest and the pollen is food for baby bees. I never knew that. And if you look at this picture, the caption shows, it says, tongue on a bumblebee. Why do you think they have a long tongue like that? What do you think that long tongue helps them do? Bees collect nectar from flowers too. They drink the nectar with their tongues. And down here is a little box that explains what nectar is. Nectar is a sweet, sugary juice that flowers make. Some bees make honey out of nectar. These bees are called honeybees. So it sounds like the bees get pollen from the flowers, but they also get nectar, which is like sweet juice. They use their long tongues and go to the flower and they drink it. I wonder if it's kind of like a straw. And then they use the nectar to make honey. So let's review what we learned about bees and how bees help people. To help me organize my thinking, I made a list. I wrote, bees help people by 1, making wax. And wax we use to make different items. For example, we use wax to make candles, soap, and we also use wax to make crayons. Bees help people by making honey from the nectar of flowers. And here is some honey I have at home, and this honey says multifloral and clover honey, which tells me that bees must have gone to different types of flowers and clover plants to get nectar to make this honey. It's very sticky and delicious. Bees help people by helping plants grow. And we learned from the book that bees help plants grow through pollination, where they get that sticky yellow powder on their bodies from one flower and bring it to another flower, and then that flower can make seeds. And if we remember from when we were learning about plants, seeds are like parts of a plant that you put in soil, and they grow into flowers and other types of plants. When I read nonfiction books, I always like to think about the main idea, the big idea, what the book is all about. The main idea is bees. And then once I've thought about the main idea, I like to think about what the little facts were. For your assignment this week, I would like you to come up with 2 facts about bees, 2 things you learned. It could include bees make wax, bees help make honey, bees have pollen baskets on their legs to help bring pollen from one flower to another, and that baby bees eat pollen. I would also like you to think about 2 questions that you are still wondering about bees. And you can use this sentence starter. I am wondering something that you're curious about. And I have a word bank here for you to use with question words that you can begin your questions with. What, when, where, who, why, and how. So for example, one question I have is, how do bees turn nectar into honey? I want to learn more about that process. I look forward to seeing your work. Please take a photograph and send it to your teachers. Thank you for watching our video.